Hey guys, so 2 days ago I posted a video on my acceptance reaction to my first choice pharmacy school. I put on the end there that I wanted to do a Q&A video, and it's only been a couple of days, but I felt like there were good questions already for me to answer that might take up some time. Steph Flip said, "Congrats Mimi, thank you. I'm really intimidated to the fact that I don't have a BS and I just have an average GPA, but I'm working on my experiences and volunteering opportunity." That's good. I'm currently a retail pharmacy technician. With regards to class prerequisites, did you take physics, econ, and biochem? Because every school varies, some require them, some don't. Would you recommend just taking them anyways? If I apply for fall 2018, when do you suggest I take the PCAT? And when I must finish all prerequisite classes? Please bear with me and my endless questions. Thanks. Okay, so your first question is, do I recommend for you to take econ, physics, biochem? Because some schools don't require it. When it came down to applying to schools, it was such a stress reliever that I did take all these classes. Originally, I was planning to not take all these extra classes. I was just gonna get my prerequisites for the school I wanted. If you're someone who doesn't have a very competitive GPA or PCAT, you're gonna end up having to apply to multiple schools. So when you look at schools, it was a relief for me. I don't think any school I looked at I couldn't apply to because of prerequisites. I do recommend taking biochem, especially because that is one of the very first classes you take in pharmacy school, and a lot of people say that it's just overwhelming to learn all that material your first semester. And if you're applying to a school through PharmCast, if you didn't know, it does calculate your GPA for biochemistry, biology, organic chemistry, inorganic, physics, other sciences. They calculate everything separately, like your overall, your senior, your sophomore, your freshman, your math GPA. They calculate everything. So to see that, like, oh yeah, she did take biochem, you know, she took the extra step to learn it, I think it looks better, have more knowledge than someone who didn't take that class. So yeah, if you do need like an extra couple credits to take to be a full-time student, I would definitely advise to take it. I know how that is. At first I was definitely very like, I don't want to take all those extra classes, but I'm very, very glad that I did. Your second question is, if you apply for fall 2018, when should you take the PCAT? If I could change one thing to go back to do is to apply earlier. I applied very late in the cycle, which means I didn't get to do early decision and I had to spend more money applying to schools. If I would have applied earlier, I could have applied to my first choice first, see if I would get invited to interview and get accepted to spend more money to apply to more schools. My situation was different though. Like, I didn't end up doing it partly because of my PCAT, but then also because letter of recommendations. But I would advise that the latest PCAT you take is the September PCAT. You can definitely take them later. I've seen that some schools even take the February PCAT. I didn't even know there was a February PCAT. I thought January was the latest. Some schools won't accept the February. I think somebody said that in the comments about UIC. I wasn't totally great when I took my prerequisites, but I was pretty confident that I was going to do well. I mean, I did do well in the sciences like I expected, but you never know. You really never know how you're going to score. You maybe do well usually in your classes. When you're taking a 4 to 5 hour test, it's very different from what you're used to. So I would take the July PCAT. That way you have all summer to study. I think most people get out of school around May. I don't know how quarter system works, but if you take the July PCAT, and if you don't do well, you can take the September one and I think still apply for early decision. I'm not sure if you can apply early decision with September actually, but definitely to apply for early decision for your application to be complete and have the PCAT scores in and everything, July PCAT is the way to go. But yeah, there's also, you know, I think there was a December PCAT, January. You have all that, but I had school, so I said I was going to retake the PCAT in September and I didn't end up doing it because I had all these other classes to take. So I would definitely advise to take the July PCAT, whatever is available in the summer. And then you also asked, when should you finish all prerequisite classes? Like I said earlier, I think it's better to have them done when you apply, because I'm not on the admissions committee or anything, but the thing they have to compare you with other applicants the most is those prerequisites. So if you didn't take those classes and you don't have a grade, they just pretty much count that as a blank, like something that isn't going to put you at an advantage. So if you can take those classes and do well, I think that'll put you ahead of the game. So Jennifer asks, can you talk about your stats like your PCAT and GPA and give advice to people applying with the low PCAT/GPA? So if you haven't watched my PCAT results video, my composite was really low. It was in the 50s, but my science scores, I felt like they were pretty good. I think I had got an 86 in chemistry. Did I get a 75 in biology? I don't remember, something like that. But they say that around 70 is usually competitive or good. In the school that I applied to, I think my chemistry scores was higher than their average. So I think that put me at an advantage. But GPA wise, when I started undergrad, I was not, I didn't put school as a priority. I'm just gonna admit it. I think I definitely had an upward trend. So, okay, I'll give you guys my trend so PharmCast calculates your freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior GPAs. I was in school for longer than 4 years. What they do is, freshman is like your first 24 credits you've taken are freshman, and then, it just increases. I forgot the numbers, but okay, I'm gonna give you guys these numbers, don't judge me. But my freshman GPA was a 2.81. Sophomore was 2.93. Junior was 3.14, and senior was 3.55. You can tell I had an upward trend, so I think that looks good too, because you have something consistent. Like, you have a low GPA, but if it's just consistent, it just shows that that's just how you're gonna be in pharmacy school, like how you wouldn't be able to handle a pharmacy program. I think showing that you have a consistent trend where maybe you grew up a little, you matured, you got all the partying out of your system, I think that really helps a lot. But this is specifically for PharmCast applicants. Some schools don't use PharmCast for their application, and my first choice school didn't use PharmCast, so they didn't calculate all that. They asked specific for the certain classes they wanted, which I think it would help me a little bit for the science GPA, since I did retake some classes. And pretty much my advice is for people with low PCAT and GPA is you need to look stronger somewhere else in your application. Like, you're pretty much just trying to sell yourself. So if your grades don't show that you'll be able to handle pharmacy school, show that you're passionate about pharmacy. Me having 200 hours in the hospital pharmacy and like 150 hours in the emergency department, shadowing a compounding pharmacist and working at a clinical pharmacy, it just proves that I'm actually really interested in the profession. And that's what a lot of schools look at nowadays too. It's not all about grades. They don't want a robot, they want someone who really wants to be in this field and is well-rounded. My camera just shut off on me because I was overheating. But hopefully I answered that last question. Sarah asked, did you work on the application for your top choice school / answer the questions for that school any differently than for other schools' applications? And congratulations. Thank you, Sarah. My top choice school didn't use PharmCast. And what they actually did too was they didn't require a personal statement. Rather, they asked a series of questions and you had to answer them, pretty much in essay format. So it was a majority of the parts of my personal statement were in there, but I think they asked more specifically on that. Some schools have supplemental applications, so that's another place to prove yourself. So I would definitely work hard even on the supplemental applications too if you're just using PharmCast. Most schools use PharmCast, that's why I keep talking about it. But also I think my letters of recommendation were very good because I had 2 pharmacists write me a letter and 1 professor. So the 2 pharmacists that wrote me the letter, they're actually alumni of the pharmacy school, so they get to show that they went through the curriculum and they see that I'm suited for it. I'm currently a sophomore in college. I wanted to ask, what year in college do you think is safe to start applying to pharmacy school, or is it better to get a degree first?